Welcome to my course about Nevada Revised Statutes and AB or Assembly Bill 267. This particular version of AB 267 is from the 2023 legislature. I am Jay Caffaretta and I will be your host today. A little bit about me. I hold a master's degree in communications, an associate's degree in deaf studies, and I am also a certified diversity executive. I teach cultural competency courses for healthcare as well as professional development. I have been involved in the legislative processes that have created these laws and personally testified on these bills while they were being created during the different Nevada legislative sessions. I am not a lawyer or a legal analyst. These laws pertain to Nevada only. Other states may have similar laws, but the ones I am discussing here are Nevada specific. Please check with your administrator, supervisor, or licensing board as to the application of these laws and how they may impact you. Again, I am not a lawyer, and my interpretation may be different from the licensing board or the Department of Health and Human Services. All right, so these are the currently published Nevada Revised Statutes, NRS, chapters on cultural competency laws and healthcare providers. Most of these were updated in March of 2023, which does not reflect the new laws or changes to these statutes made in 2023. They are catching up with the 2021 session. In Nevada, we have a biannual legislative session that lasts for a regulated 120 days. All new legislation must be introduced, heard, and passed by both the Senate and the Assembly before heading to the governor's desk. If the bill makes it to the governor to be signed, it is considered enrolled, and if the governor signs it, it becomes the law effective as each bill states. Please make sure you look at the Nevada Legislature website for more information about the different sessions and when these bills were passed. These are the chapters of the law that pertain to cultural competency and healthcare providers. I have a course on each one, so if you do not work in a licensed healthcare facility or you are a professional that works under one of these chapters and you also work under a licensed healthcare facility license, then this course can help you to determine which course you need to take. So let's start with what are the licensed healthcare facilities in Nevada. Now, again, before I go there, these are 6 different chapters of the Nevada Revised Statutes that were changed with one assembly bill. So during the last session, we had AB 267, and it actually is about 82 pages long. And what I've done is pulled out these different pieces that pertain particularly and only to these chapters of the Nevada Revised Statutes. All right, again, these are the licensed healthcare facilities. If you work in one of these, you work in a licensed healthcare facility. You can see the strike through for halfway houses. We don't call it that anymore. They are now called recovery sessions. So, recovery houses. In this presentation, we will talk about AB 267, which also applies to NRS 449, and there are changes about 449, but we're not going to talk about that in this particular presentation. In addition, there are some juvenile detention facilities that also fall under the Department of Health and Human Services in Nevada that require cultural competency for their training, but we're not going to talk about that in this training either. So, professional licenses. You have continuing education requirements for your personal professional license renewal. Typically, that is every other year. Your licensing board, of course, will have more information about those requirements that apply specifically to you. So again, please check with your facility, your supervisor about meeting any requirements that they have in addition to your licensing board. So let's take a look at what AB 267 actually says. Now, these are the chapters. So NRS 632, 641, 641A, B, C, and D. Again, these are the kinds of people, the professionals, and the professional licenses that must be renewed every other year, and that means you have to have continuing education. All right, some licensing boards actually have on their websites the courses that are approved by that board for continuing education, and some do not. So if you go on the nurse's website, they have a list of all the folks that are available to take this training from. But if you go on, say, the social workers board, they do not have a list that's published that you can just go through and find people who can offer this training. So these are the folks that AB 267 covered, and this is actually what it says. So, and you'll notice that this starts with B, and A is sort of like, we're going to do this. So a requirement that the holder of a license must biennially receive at least two. That was what the change to this particular chapter, every one of these chapters, it was changed to 2 hours of continuing education in the 2021 session. And if you look on some licensing boards, they are still posting that as the requirement. However, as of 2024, January, your renewal will require anywhere from 4 to 6. Now, specifically, the nurses and anyone who has a nursing license is only required to take 4 hours of continuing education, and the remainder of these chapters are required to take 6. And the alcohol, gambling, and alcohol, drug, and gambling counselors have a slightly different wording, but it ends up being about the same. So, again, all sections up to this go into effect on January 1, and currently that reads that the course must be a minimum of 2 hours. However, this is going to change to 6. So these are the exact same topics. The only difference is that the number of hours has increased. There is another addition for some licensing boards, and that is that any training that is approved by the state under NRS 449.103, which is the chapter that licenses healthcare facilities, those particular 25 types, is also acceptable to the board for these continuing education units. That was not said in other bills. So, as I said, I teach cultural competency for healthcare providers, and I teach a course that matches these requirements. The course that I offers 9 continuing education units that count for everything towards your renewal. And regardless of if you work in a facility or not, by taking a course that I offer, you will manage to meet the requirements for all of your continuing education. And again, I'd like to point out that this states that the topics and sources are a must and not a may. And sometimes people think, well, it can include some of these things, but you'll see here in line 1 may include the training, but it must be based and it must address. So those are two differences in language that when we look at the law, those are the kinds of changes and differences that we are actually looking for. So adult sensitivity learning, or ASL training, do provide these courses. I do teach these courses, and there's another course that I do offer that is almost specific to the nurses only now. It is only approved for 4 hours of CEUs. It doesn't mean that you need to take only one course to meet your continuing education requirements for cultural competency. It just means that if you take a course that only has 4 hours, you will need to find another course that is approved for a minimum of 2 hours. Again, that 4-hour course is on cultural awareness, and it's not necessarily directed at licensed healthcare facilities. For nurses, that is acceptable and is already approved as a continuing education course. My cultural awareness course is only available in English. However, the course that I offer for NRS 449, licensed healthcare facilities, offers 9 hours of CEUs. It is a state-approved course. And at the completion of the course, you will get a certificate that you can keep yourself and make sure that your facility has. And it is also available in English and in Spanish. Please note that the Spanish version is exactly the same as the English version, except it has been translated by a certified Spanish interpreter, including all of the videos. I also have a standalone course on veterans that will fulfill the requirement for veterans if you're interested in learning more about that, or if you're looking for another short course, I do have a number of short courses on my website as well. So in conclusion, AB267 impacts many different NRS chapters, but all of them include that the training is required, the content is specifically laid out, and the content of the class must be approved for CEUs by the licensing board that you submit your renewals to. So again, please check with your supervisor or your licensing board if you have questions about these requirements. Please reach out to me if you have questions about the courses I provide. And if you're covered under a different chapter of NRS, please click on my other videos to see more information about them. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more updates about these important Nevada-specific laws. More content will be posted as these laws change. Again, thank you for watching this presentation. You may contact me at j@asltraining.com, or you can find these courses at www.asltraining.com. Thank you again.